Hello, Blue Justin here, still Justin, still not blue. And to prove the t-shirt that there can be only one incorrect, this is part one of a two-part video. The reason it's two parts, even though it's actually 2 weeks worth of arrivals instead of just doing it week by week, is that it happened to come down that 1 week I got something like 4 titles and the other week I got something like 24. So instead of doing one video for 10 or 15 minutes and the other one for sort of like 1.5 to 2 hours, I thought a bit more sensible to split them up into much more reasonable lengths. Hopefully that will be the case when I come out the other end. Right, I think I split them up into vague themes, and I think you'll quite quickly spot the theme of this one before we go too far through. Anyway, there's some weird and wonderful stuff, and I hope you'll enjoy it as always. Well, as always, I hope you enjoy it. Right, I suppose we better get on with it then. Right, first up, classic movie, and I try not to overuse the word, but that is the Andromeda Strain. This is the Arrow version, which means it's got it's been treated well. Yeah, new restorations from a 4K scan, which of course probably means they should put out 4K if they've got a 4K scan. And the plot was by Michael Crichton before he did Westworld and Jurassic Park, all about a satellite that crashes down to Earth, leaving everybody in the local area dead of a some sort of pathogen, or is that it's brought down. Well, everybody except a small child and an elderly homeless man, who of course the authorities then take into a secret facility to work on to see if they can find a cure for this so named Andromeda strain before it had potentially has escaped and wipes out the whole of the earth. With the I believe the facility itself has some sort of thermonuclear detonation device to try and wipe out anything that's left of the disease in case it does start to escape. Now, I don't know. I must admit, I don't think I've seen this in full. I might just caught clips of it quite a few times. So I'm not entirely sure how it ends up, but I hope that the whole world doesn't die. Yeah, we've got the visual effects are by the same chap who did 2001, and there are some apparently unforgettable avant-garde music. Very and it's got good exclusive restoration, etc. What's it got in the extras? Uncompressed mono audio, nothing big surroundy, but that has been remastered along with the image. There's a commentary, of course, the film of this caliber. Film appreciation by Kim Newman. I do appreciate his comments. He does a few commentaries as well, on especially on horror and that sort of thing, which is his area of specialty. In fact, I believe he's actually written a few books on the subject as well. Plus some little bits and pieces, portraits of Michael Crichton himself, a featurette. And yep, okay, so yeah, Andromeda Strain from Arrow. Yeah, I better get on with it. More sort of instead of biological problems, this time more radiation ones, and a lot less of a classic. and that is the Chernobyl Diaries. I know it doesn't have the best of reputations, but and even some horror fans just regard it as more of a comedy horror than proper horror. That probably won't be the case with me, because I'm not, as a non-huge horror fan, it will probably scare the willies out of me anyway. I saw the trailers for this before it came out at the cinema, but never actually saw it at the cinema because I had other things to be going to see at the time. But this is very reasonably priced now at under a £5 if you fancy picking it up. So yeah, it says it contains strong horror, gore and strong language. No mention of comedy there, but apparently it does have an alternate ending, a deleted scene, a conspiracy viral video, and the extreme tours information. The plot being that a group of foolish teenagers, aren't they all? Yeah, apparently, if it's a horror film, decide to go on an extreme tour type trip with their guide into a city near Chernobyl post meltdown. They're probably not allowed to, but that's the way life goes, and they're being brave. What could possibly go wrong? Well, they soon find themselves stranded and maybe not as alone as they hoped to be, with strange noises coming from the supposedly abandoned buildings. Less of the natural inverted commas disasters now, and sorry, this one's just been moved around in the order. This is a little bit of a creature feature, quite an old one. It seems, I think it's from the 70s, and that is one that's received a nice recently. It's called Tentacles, or something like Tentacoli in the original Italian, I think. Well, that's what it's called. I think it's, yes, it does say at the top, it's from the Italian collection. It's released by 88 Films. Again, 88 Films do put a bit of effort into theirs. So this one's got a new 2K transfer from the original NEG, with additional colour correction. It's got this limited edition slip with a poster inside. It's got English and I think it must be the original Italian, both in DTS HD Master Audio. It's got a commentary, interviews coming out of its, what's it called, and the reversible sleeve on the actual case itself, which I believe features artwork from the original Italian poster, which again I think is repeated on the double-sided fold-out poster that they also include. This one essentially is your quiet coastal town, and boats are being destroyed, people are going missing, and it may be connected, otherwise known as is connected, with the construction of the new undersea tunnel. And yeah, of course that's disturbed something that nobody except people investigating it realises how dangerous these things are. And the cast is quite impressive, I must say. Henry Fonda, Shelley Winters, Claude Akins from Rio Bravo, and Bo Hopkins from The Wild Bunch. So yeah, classic 70s monster movie, as it says here, blending ecological ruminations with sudden shocks. Watch out for those ecological problems that are going to turn up later today. So anyway, on to the rest. Yep, the theme of the day sort of starts more, and in this particular case we're on with the original 1978? 1978, yes. Piranha. Now, a very silly film, I dare say, but if you can't enjoy a bit of silliness in your life, why, you're wasting it. So I thought this is the original one. It's directed by Joe Dante, as it says at the top there, from Gremlins fame, if I recall, and produced by that master of budget cult movies, Roger Corman. If you know any budget cult movies, you'll probably have heard the name. The plot is that an experimental mutant strain of piranha escaped from a secret military facility and head downstream for an unsuspecting, inevitable gore fest. Why you'd experiment to in a military facility on to make piranha fish like this, I can't particularly imagine, but they have, because it's part of the plot. And yeah, why not? It looks like daft fun. However, there is an audio commentary with the director and producer, so that's Joe Dante and Roger Corman. So that's going to be an interesting commentary, to be perfectly honest. I've had to listen to a couple of Corman commentaries before, and he's quite happy to point out when he's not happy with his own films or what somebody's done to them and releasing. There's a behind the scenes, a making of, outtakes, stills gallery, and radio and TV spots. There we go. It's only a 15 now. I don't know whether it would have been rated more highly than that on release. I can't see what the reasoning is because it's covered up by one of those silly great stickers on the plastic. Oh, it doesn't actually. It actually isn't covering that up. It's covering up. It's just 15. It says there's no good reasons on this one. It's only got stereo sound and doesn't outweigh its welcome, as suits this sort of film, at just over an hour and a half long, 94 minutes. On to the sequel, suitably named Piranha 2. This one's subtitled The Spawning. This is the UK release. It is actually supposedly a special edition, I believe, with this slipcover, and it's a little bit harder to get hold of than you might think. It says, yes, it does say on the back, limited edition. Just there somewhere. Limited edition with a slip case and a poster. This one, my one, it is sealed though, so it's not that hard to get hold of. I think I got it off eBay. Again, we've got a new 2K scan, so I don't expect 4K to be released anytime soon. But then again, I wouldn't anyway, to be honest. But then again, looking at what is being released on 4K nowadays, you never know what's coming next. No huge amounts of extras on this one, it just being a follow-up. Just optional English subtitles and a trailer on here. Now, this one gets much sillier, and who's decided to mutate piranhas so that they had wings and could fly? Not quite sure. However, even though we don't have Joe Dante at the helm anymore, we do have Lance Henriksen from Aliens and the Terminator stepping into us in front of the camera and behind the camera at the director in his very first directorial role, the fantastic James Cameron, showing his early chops before we went on to such classics as Avatar, the Terminator and Aliens. Yeah, obviously Cameron liked Lance's performance and rehired him for both those other movies. So yeah, that is Piranha 2. I believe there is a third one that sort of follows, but that was a TV only movie until they did a full reboot with Piranha 3D, which is a 3D version. It does change the plot a little bit from the military, but it has Kelly Brook in it, and the 3D seems great. I've got that one somewhere. I can't remember where. But it is, it is a bit of good. It is a bit of fun. But I can't remember what the rating or any details on that one are. However, that one's like I said, remake-ish of basic outline of the original first one. That's Piranha 3D, which was made in about 2000, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. Should have looked it up. However, this one is the non-copied, but again, it's a sequel. This one is the sequel to Piranha 3D. This is Piranha 3 Double D. No subtlety whatsoever. This one has moved up to an 18 for strong, gory horror and sexualized nudity. It's back to having actual commentary. The story behind the movie, and it's got a new screenplay, but the fish don't fly in this one, so that's what I'm saying. It's not a remake of Piranha 2 in that way. It does follow on though from the plot of Piranha 3D. It's all very confusing trying to follow these through. Very B movie, obviously, but what could go wrong when you've got a water park and piranhas escaping, and in front of the camera you've got David Hasselhoff and it's like Gary Busey, and some of the extras are Gary Busey's bloopers, specifically his bloopers. So maybe he made a lot of money. Oh, you've also got Chris Lloyd from Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and great Chris Lloyd in front of the camera as well. And as I say, what could go wrong? Apparently an awful lot, on the principle that I noticed the other day that looking at its Rotten Tomatoes scores, which are rather low to say the least, and the Internet Movie Database, in which it appears in the bottom 100 films of all time. Obviously somebody doesn't like it. But I mean, with those three in front of the camera, it'll probably be a fun scenery chewing experience, if nothing else. Have anything to do with it, and they'll know how to play up their parts, and they know exactly what sort of film it's supposed to be. So I think that's the end of that sequence. Actually, it goes, like I said, I think it goes Piranha 2, The Spawning, the TV movie one that you can't get, or I certainly haven't been able to get on physical. Then it goes Piranha 3D, then Piranha 3 Double D, and I think that's where it ended. So now, on to the next creature that's out to get you. Yep, sharks, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guessed it was coming. First up, we have Shark Night. This one's in 3D. I'm lucky enough to have a 3D TV. There's also 4K. I got my TV in the last year that they included 3D, but after 4K had started coming in. So yeah, so this is another 3D pickup after obviously the 3 double D Piranha movie. Oh, this one is the I remember. Yeah, this is the college uh, college kids summer weekend. They all go to the lake house in the middle of a sort of on an island type thing, and one of them goes into the water and carelessly loses his arm. They think it's some sort of freak underwater accident where he smashed it on rocks or whatever, something like that. So they all decide to get in their little speedboat and go back to land to try and get him to hospital, which, you know, you might think is a reasonable response for a bunch of teenagers in a shark type movie. And you might be right. However, when some great fool has decided to infest or school the whole lake surrounding the island with voracious killer sharks, all things start to get horribly wrong, and things are soon playing up. We've got some nice little bonus features, including the Shark Knight's survival guide, thing about the island, and the fake sharks real scares. It's only 15 rated for one scene of sexual threat, and there's moderate bloody violence, as you'd expect really from a shark movie that's supposed to be some sort of at least some sort of mild horror of kids getting chomped. Yeah, it's. I'm sorry if you can hear that. Somebody's decided to chop down trees outside the front of the house. It would be typical. I'm recorded in a while. If I'd only done this earlier, I'd have been fine. But I'm going to go on and hope that either they calm down and or it goes a bit quieter at least. Right, it's only got 2.0, but it's probably fine for anything like something like that. Right. Oh look, a 3D shark movie. This one is called Bait. Bait is one where a tsunami, not a sharknado, a tsunami opens up the seaside resorts to flooding, and a great white shark comes in, of course. The flooding is so bad that in actual fact it traps people in a submerged supermarket. I'm assuming there's some airtight spaces where these people are trapped and they have to try and escape, but obviously the great white is not in the mood to let them do that and is in quite a hungry state of mind. So yep, the usual 15, strong language, violence, horror and gore. Any extras on this one? Doesn't look like it, but again about the hour and a half mark, but at least we do get 5.1 DTS HD master audio on this one. Right, one more. Oh, sorry about that. I'm very itchy nose at the moment. One more regular little shark movie for you, and this one is called Swamp Shark. This, from what I can read, is a little bit unusual in that apparently the acting and plot isn't actually that bad for this one, relatively speaking. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And it only contains infrequent, strong, bloody gore. Essentially, apparently, there's some illegal animal smuggling, and the shark escapes and goes swimming upstream and chomps into the local alligator farm, alligators apparently not standing a lot of chance against this for somehow armoured shark. I'm not quite sure why it says why it's armoured or how it's armoured, but I'm sure I'll find out when I read it. The local sheriff tries to blame all of this on a local resident instead of the escaped shark because he's corrupt and might be involved in the payoff for the illegal smuggling itself. So I said it's actually got a plot, but then the plot probably starts to go out of the window more as the person who's accused, sister, tries to clear his name before this shark gets too involved in the upcoming, and they're always the busiest festival of the year, where it is going to include loads and loads of visitors coming to the small place and probably sort of like setting themselves up to be a lovely shark snack. And right, that's Swamp Shark. Did I say it about anything? Yeah, again, we've got your standard runtime of all these type of movies. It seems of an hour and a half, in this case 89 minutes. It doesn't even go into what the audio is on the back, apart from saying it's English. So I'm suspecting, oh, it does say it's on the front, it says it's DTS HD Master Audio, so I'm surprised it doesn't mention that on the back as well. So, right, that's a few regular shark nasties, or shark bits of fun B-movies that I picked up this week. So let's move on to the daddies of them all. Yep, and when I'm talking daddy of them all, I'm not talking daddy of all sensible shark movies. Oh no, we're talking Sharknado. Oh yeah. And I found that Germany has a nice little numbered steelbook of Sharknado. Now, I have actually got a UK exclusive, Zavvi exclusive of steelbook of Sharknado, but it's not as nice as this daft one here. And that's the front one. And yep, this one's actually got a Blu-ray and a DVD in it, and is limited to 1,000 and numbered. Mine's number 412. It's as with all the these ones. This one's only 82 minutes long, so it's, oh no, 86 if you've got on the Blu-ray. Of course, the DVD has power speed up. It's DTS HD Master Audio, English and German. So yeah, just to make sure we get some idea of how silly these things are. This is one where a freak tornado picks up sharks and deposits them onto the now flooded streets of Los Angeles, causing havoc, and our hero, called most suitably Finn, has to step in and try to fight for the day and save the people, etc. And notice he's got the big chainsaw over his shoulder there that I'm sure that will come in handy. Now, it was daft but popular, and it's so daft but popular, Germany decided to put out the second one on steelbook as well. Yep, here we go. So subtly titled Sharknado, the second one. You can actually see it on the front. So I have to read the subtitles a bit because I can't just read any plot points off the back, because obviously that's all in German, this being a German release. Horrible big age rating thing, but that is only on cardboard, so if I take the cardboard off, that'll solve that problem. Again, very nice DGS HD master audio, and expanded to a huge 91 minutes, another one that I can fit in very quickly at any old time. And as it's part of the same set, of course, it has the Blu-ray and the DVD in it. This one is set a year later, and the survivor of the first is on a plane to New York with his wife, I think, and they successfully wrote a book on how to survive a Sharknado after the first one, and so they're going to but for somehow you also got 3 Sharknados closing in on New York as they're approaching, and the plane somehow getting attacked by sharks at the top of its own Sharknado. So already starting to get very, very silly, even compared to silly. And there's more. This is the third one, Sharknado, Oh Hell No. In this one, number 3, the hero is about to be honoured in the White House when several Sharknadoes approach and attack the East Coast. Grabbing his award that he's just been given for his work fighting the first 2 Sharknadoes, which is very handily a golden chainsaw. He has to save the president and then rush down the coast to Florida and save his mother and father. Now, his mother and father are played by Bo Derek and David Hasselhoff respectively, so people are now thinking, oh, these are just daft, let's get involved. And the Hoff is back, yes. I can't remember which of the Piranha movies he's in now, but he was, wasn't he? Yes. So, yeah. Oh, yes. And when they get there, when he gets to his father, the only way they decided they can beat the sharks and the Sharknadoes is to, of course, especially if you're in Florida and you've got that Cape Canaveral thing, is you fly into space and use a massive laser beam from space to sort out all the problems. And I think he takes the Hoff along with him on that. And there we go. Yes, so giant laser beams going into space where you're still not safe from sharks. Not quite sure how that's going to work, but I'm sure they'll come up with some silliness. I mean, if they're still doing it nowadays with Fast and Furious in space, then I'm sure that it's perfectly permissible in something as daft to start with as Sharknado. Right. And yes, Sharknado 4. This one is actually, they did do it. They put David Hasselhoff on the front. This one says I've only got 856 out of 1,000, so you better rush if you want it. They really were brave enough to call this one Sharknado the Fourth Awakens. How they got away with it, I will never know. This one is set 5 years later, and they're just about to put a new energy system into operation which will in actual fact produce future Sharknadoes. Sounds a bit stupid, like the sky thing they put in operation in Highlander 2 to make energy, and that one horribly stupid as well. And it was a very bad film, especially after the first brilliant one. Of course, there's some sort of experiment in setting up this power grid goes wrong, and with the help of his father, the Hoff, they are joined by, as per again in the Piranha films, they are now joined by Gary Busey, and they must step in and save what they saving? Oh, yes, they got to save Los Angeles when sharks start appearing there. Something to do with whether or not it's regular Sharknadoes or whether it's like some sort of weirdness connected with science fiction they're making up now. I really don't know. Oh, I can't wait to find out. Again, like I said, same usual thing of DVD and Blu-ray, DTS HD Master Audio, 85 minutes long on the Blu-ray. Let's show you the shirt. Oh, so we were changing the shirt, not changing the subject. Yep. And here we go with Sharknado 5. That's Sharknado Global Spawning. Looks like Dolph Lundgren, but I don't think it is. Now that the sharks have decimated huge swathes of America and the rest of the world, the heroes somehow get the hero's family, get caught in a tornado and transported to the other side of the planet. So Finn and new acolyte Nova must fight their way across the world to save them, city after city, where even the Pope takes up arms to help them fight the sharks. I don't know. Yes, number 342 out of 1000 for this one, so nice early number. Maybe somebody's realised that it's getting very silly now. This one is 89 minutes long. Wondering how long you can put up with, I think, now. Yeah, so global swarming, and another. Must say that the steelbooks are really, really nicely designed though. Are they steelbooks? Oh, actually no. I'm just making a quick correction on myself. They're not steelbooks. I will put up which one they are. I cannot remember. This is my John Wick that I happen to have here. You get a central piece like that, and you can see at the end you've got a cut away for the hinge for when it opens. And you've got so just there, and that goes in the middle. You've got a single piece that runs down with the thing like. Whereas with these Sharknado releases, I don't know if you can see past the very easily, but actually I'll just, let's face it, it's no biggie. I'm going to take this off. And actually I'll show you what one looks out like in very pretty like steelbook mode. Like I said, not steel, but that's on the back. They got some lovely artwork on the back too. Yeah, very, very shiny. But compared to, I just want to make sure I've got the titles the same way up, so you can see the difference more easily. You can see where on Sharknado the bit where it opens runs further along, and then so it opens or moves up to form a little hinge along the top, and then the title is in a wider bit of the second bottom half of the hinge, whereas on a steelbook it remains. Therefore, when you open it, it looks like that, and it doesn't change, whereas with this one, when you open it, the top half like folds over the smaller top half without the title on, folds down and obscures some of the bottom portion. So not as collectible as a proper mainstream steelbook, but I was very I've just found out actually that's very handy in me opening it, just to show you there, because apart from being able to, they've got the same artwork on the discs inside as on the front and as each other, but obviously you've got the little thing at the bottom saying which one's the DVD and which one's the Blu-ray. But also quite handily for me, don't know if you can read it there, but that says that it's a future pack as compared to an iron pack or a metal pack, which are the other alternatives apart from steelbooks. What else have we got? Can I reveal? Obviously a monochrome still from the film of London not doing so well as Big Ben, or the House of Parliament, Big Ben's the bell, not the tower, before someone puts in the comments that I'm wrong. So yeah, still very nicely presented, even though as a purist steelbook collector would probably not be so kind and forgiving. But yeah, I must say that apart from that factor, nice and shiny, very nice artwork. Back, beautiful again. Houses of Parliament Tower, very shiny. I'm going to get my fingerprints all over it. And up there we have the Sphinx, also showing the global, if it's in this particular one. So yeah, and there, little shark going past. What was this one? Yes. Right. Just pop my John Wick Chapter 4 away. I hope that was interesting, a little. The difference between steel books and future packs. Sorry I haven't got an iron pack or a metal pack to show you, but just to let you know, there are subtle differences between different types of releases. I think these ones are being released, their Damned's being released by Daredo, Daredo, but I think they're tied up with them. They're also released in a single box set, which I couldn't get hold of, which would make life easy, called by a company called Turbine, and Turbine quite often release things like this one. I think I've got the Turbine Johnny Mnemonic, and that has very similar spine for as it's a future pack. But anyway, I digress, obviously, and here we go with, as you'll be pleased to hear, I'm coming to the end now, and this is Sharknado 6, and that's because it's actually subtitled Sharknado The Last One. It should be titled Sharknado The Stupidest One. And again, lovely image there. I don't know what's going to be underneath on the metal, but that's on the back of there. This one's another 86 minutes, and obviously people all like the daftness of this one. 864 that I've got out of 1,000 on my numbering. Yeah, so in this one, as I said, this is one that gets really, really daft. The hero, Finn, travels is fine, back in time, 66 million years into the past, using a time machine given to him by his son from the future. Well, of course he does. And the idea is he goes back 66 million years to the time of the very first Sharknado to prevent it, and thus prevent their formation in the future somehow, because I think they've probably changed the law since the first one. And obviously, because the first one, it was just supposed to be some freak event. By the time we got through the numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5, it was a global phenomenon that had been building for ages, and they worked this out. So of course, the plan goes wrong though, and a megalodon, well, of course it's a megalodon. What other sort of shark would be involved if you come back 6 million years? Gets caught up in a brand new Sharknado and starts to pursue them, so they have to escape through time on the back of a huge pterodactyl. Yep, of course. And as they run away and return to their own time in true Bill and Ted fashion through the time zones that they pass, they defeat Sharknadoes as they go, teaming up with the likes of Merlin, George Washington, and Billy the Kid as they travel back to the modern day. I have no idea how it ends, but it's probably absolutely bonkers ending, and I have no idea how they could possibly wrap that up. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this afternoon or this video of absolute silliness. As I said, this is part 1 of a 2-part haul that covers 2 weeks. The second part will be of a similar length, but with a lot less silliness. And I look forward to doing that very, very soon. Just after I've managed to get this one out, really. That way, you can enjoy this one. In the meantime, I hope you do. Leave any comments about what you think of all these great silly monster movies, and whether or not you just think I've been totally daft, or whether you don't mind, you think I've been totally daft, but what the heck. So like, daftness is, you know, part of life and should be embraced from time to time. Comments down below. Any comment will be responded to. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Bear in mind that if this is your first video of mine that you've watched, I do usually get things which are a little more highbrow than Sharknado and Killer Piranha movies. So please check back or check some of my previous ones, and I do hope you liked it anyway. And if you did, please hit the like button. If you'd like to find out when I'm going to put out my part 2 of this, please hit subscribe and the notification bell so you can find out. And meanwhile, please keep on enjoying your own TV films, hopefully getting to the cinema if you can avoid train strikes at the moment. And I shall see you soon. Cheers.